It baffles me that people think that they should remember so much in their head. David Allen, who is godfather, I think, of productivity, he says that our head is not for holding things. You're constantly trying to remember what should you be doing this week, this month, this quarter. Who should you be calling back? Who are you supposed to be doing reviews with? Why would we do that to ourselves? Because what that does is it creates this wheel that won't stop. It doesn't give us an opportunity to actually think.
Deanne, what path did you choose?
What path did I choose? Oh, a hard one. But filled with passion. And I think I chose the windy path. Mm-hmm. I heard someone refer to it the other day as a cow path. Mm-hmm. I loved that.
Okay. So you're writing a book called Organize, Optimize, Profit.
Yeah.
It's a weird name. We'll get into what it means. But you also run a company called Kaos Group.
Yes.
It's spelled Kaos. And you in the book mentioned that ever since a young age, you were always organized. When all the other girls and boys were doing the things that normal children do, you were sitting and actually organizing your shelf.
Yeah.
How did that turn into you now helping companies organize their systems and workflows?
I know. It's kind of interesting. Okay, so I have an hour and a half to tell this story. I'm kidding. Okay, so that was a natural thing for me. Mm-hmm. Great. I think my mom benefited, organizing the spice cupboard and stuff like that. When I was quite young, I was recruited by Estée Lauder. Mm-hmm. And the first thing they do when they onboard you, or used to do, I'm sure they still do, is they took us through a training program. And that program was how to use your day planner. Okay. So we would go to a 2-day training and we would be given our day planner. And in the bottom left quadrant of the day planner was this circle. And it was broken into eight categories. And it was sleep, family, business planning. So it was sort of broken out into your life as a whole. Mm-hmm. And it was really important that you're able to measure each week that you have a balance. Really interesting, right? So that was the beginning of an incredible enterprise training. How you do what we do every day in business. And I was mentored by some really brilliant people because I worked at head office. Okay. So that was the first big experience. And I was young and I was introduced to inventory and everything about process in business. And I absolutely loved it, but I didn't quite fit. And I knew I didn't quite fit because I take rules sometimes like suggestions, opposed to, following them.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Lots of people don't. And it's fine. What it is you have to find where you fit best if that's how you think and function. Mm-hmm. So I transitioned to the world of salon spa, medi spa, and that's where I started to experience what it was like to work for smaller business owners. Mm-hmm. Incredibly successful, but smaller business owners. And through serendipity, I worked for a wonderful business owner. We had a very large salon spa and a huge retail department. Mm-hmm. And we used a software in the industry that was so advanced. We were going from paper booking systems to digital integration. So we were one of the beta testers figuring out how do you take 40 service providers where all their bookings are on paper and translate it into the digital software. Yep. And because of what I was doing, I was asked to go out to other places and help them do it. So I would do that, and we came up with a methodology, and then I'd write a little document and I'd give it to them so they could share it with their team. And that's where I started to feel like super happy. And the gentleman I worked with said, well, you're going to have to open a company. And I said, why? He said, because people will pay you. And I went, cool. And literally, that's how Kaos Group was named.
Wow.
My brother-in-law, my sister, and I sat around one night, and he came up with the name. And it truly was, because it was a little all over the place. I was doing a lot of different things, and I had no name for it. But what I started to realize is people want to learn, but people are doing what they're doing. They're paying their mortgage. They're working long days. They're working weekends. They're putting their kids through university. They're doing all of these normal things and generating huge revenue, but they're hitting a brick wall when it comes to how to optimize how they do what they do, because they're not technical. I couldn't provide the service they're providing, but I can provide a service that supports the entire functionality of the business.
What a beautiful story of entrepreneurship.
Isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's always, for me, every time I meet an entrepreneur that's solving a problem, and when it comes from a place of you were at enterprise, and I think the exposure you got at a company like that, I mean, unmatched, right?
Unmatched.
The mentors, the advisors, it gives you a 10-year boost. You're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And then it's a good transition actually to small business, because a lot of people will stick to enterprise for 20, 30 years, but they don't really understand the fundamentals of business.
Yeah.
But as somebody who's run a small business before, especially brick and mortar retail, it's
hard.
horrible. It's so hard.
Yeah.
So Kaos Group starts from solving a problem.
Yeah.
What does organize, optimize, profit mean?
Nah. So another mentor said one day, you really need to come up with a methodology. And I said, well, I have one, and I shared all the ideas in my head. And she said, no, like a methodology. And I said, well, it's my tagline. She said, okay, so you've gone from, big explanation to 3 words. And when we started to break it apart, the organize, optimize, profit is exactly how we proceed with what we do. So if you're in business and you are generating great revenue, but you are having those pain points, there's a problem, you probably even know what the problem is, you just don't know how to fix it or how to just have the time to fix it. So with the organize, the idea is within each of the words is 3 sort of phases. So in organize, what we're doing is we're collecting what you have, because I don't bring a system for you to use. We build custom systems for each business based on how they function. Because when you're ready to go to a really high-end platform, that's when you're handed off. When you're looking at ERPs, once we've built the structure, you work with other people for that massive digital implementation. So in organize, we're collecting, assessing, and strategize. So collecting what actually exists within the business, assessing what the actual situation is right now and what the plan is or what the goals are. And then strategizing how actually, like creating that comprehensive plan. How are we actually going to move forward? Then the optimize phase is the implementation, the rollout. The most important piece in that phase is the documentation.
Why?
It baffles me that people think that they should remember so much in their heads.
Are you targeting me?
No, not at all. David Allen, who is the godfather, I think, of productivity, he created the getting things done process. He says that our head is not for holding things. So if you're constantly trying to remember what should you be doing this week, this month, this quarter, who should you be calling back, who are you supposed to be doing reviews with, why would we do that to ourselves? Because what that does is it creates this wheel that won't stop. It doesn't give us an opportunity to actually think. And the whole piece about documenting is giving people who are really good at what they do the opportunity to to put it onto paper so that especially nowadays, you can use AI, you can automate, sure, you create workflows, all of that stuff. But what it also does for the humans is it allows them to think more strategically about what they're doing. You can bring intelligence to the table, but not when you're overwhelmed with 15 things that you're supposed to remember you do. And I admire people who have worked in companies and owned their positions or been handed the positions out of sheer necessity, and they've built a finance department just around what they think they know, and it has sustained a business. And oftentimes these people have concerns that someone like me comes in, or anyone with a consultant title comes in, and they're trying to push them out so that they can replace them with AI. No, they hold tribal knowledge, but these people are golden. They understand all the nuances about how the business functions, from, manufacturing and certain clients and workarounds and how shipping happens and what happened with shipping in the EU and all of these little things they know. But when they're not there and business comes to a slowdown or a grinding halt, that's not fun. And humans sometimes revel in that because we all want to feel valued and needed. And most often these people are needed within the business. But I sometimes see a transference of power where the owner owned and the people worked for them, or the stakeholders led. And then all of a sudden there's this tipping point where that person or team might feel like, well, they're the ones that keep the business running, and without them, it's just not going to happen. And neither of those is good, right? Process empowers people.
Process empowers people.
Yeah. Those people who know all those nuances could be upskilling how everyone does their job, how we care for the clients, how we create workflows, what we should be saying in our sales processes. It's incredible when you fine tune this, because you're extracting this information out of their brains. It's incredible. That's documentation.
So the organize, optimize, a byproduct of that is the profit.
Profit's the fun part. Well, it's all fun. Did I say that at each stage?
No, I think it's all fun.
So profit is the piece where you look at what you've done and you're actually comparing it to what were the goals, how have we done, where do we trim tab, now how do we optimize, how do we use AI, how do we automate, how do we more tightly integrate our tech stacks, how do we empower our people to understand that we're now up leveling. And these aren't big changes, and they shouldn't be drastic overhauls. That's one end of the spectrum. The other end is, I'm going to keep researching until I find something, and 7 years later they may not have found something. But it's that gentle movement that continues to occur. It's kind of like when you want to build muscle at the gym. You know, I like to think that if I do something today, I'd like to see a result tomorrow. I'm told that's not going to happen,
unfortunately,
other than pain. So it's the profit is, what did we say we're going to do? What did we do? How is it working? Because everything needs to be measured. It can't be hey, we think this is how it's working now, or this is how we feel. A lot of people feel like if there's money in the bank, we're doing okay. When there's not money in the bank, we're not doing okay. And I like to think about revenue, but profitable revenue.
We're all focused on revenue, but most people don't even know what their profit margins are. So what you're saying is that the profit in organized, optimized profit isn't just monetary profit.
No.
It's basically the benefit you gain from putting these systems in place.
Yeah, your ROI, time, on process, on scalability. Like if one business wants to scale, but the other one wants to franchise, or if a business simply wants to increase their valuation by 10 or 15%, going from no documentation to documentation will give you that.
It will.
So it's what is the objective?
So each individual business that you've worked with has had its own objective.
Yeah.
And you've essentially taken this framework, but it's not a one size fits all approach either. So you said in the organized phase, what you're doing is you're killing the assumptions. Is that a better way of an easier way of putting it?
You could say that.
Okay. Because like, for example, I had a chief operations officer, and he joined the business a couple of years ago, did a fantastic job, but I gave him the autonomy to build his own team.
Okay.
And one day he says, I'm going to start my own company, takes everything I had essentially taught him, and he does it. And that's fine. That's business. It's cutthroat. I get it. But I realized that if I had systems in place beforehand and I wasn't just relying on the person, I was relying on the systems itself, I would not have been in the position I was in.
Yeah.
So this isn't like, I don't see organized, optimized profit just applicable to business owners. I think you can do this with anybody, like an individual who wants to optimize their life as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, it's funny because that's how I started.
Okay.
You know, I still have my first brochure pinned up on the board, and it was a professional organizing and business development company.
Oh.
Because you call it entrepreneur, solopreneur, professional business owners. The only difference is when you get to SMEs, where you have leaders, stakeholders, a team of people you're reporting back to. But at the core of most business, you have the way in which people choose to work. Mm-hmm. So the organizing can also be of what do we need to do? Mm-hmm. I've worked with owners before who have said, yeah, my email inbox got too big, so I just stopped answering emails.
That's one way to do it.
Well, it is one way to do it. But here's the thing. If you're going to do that, that's fine. But when other people start to mimic your leadership, I don't know, let's reevaluate.
Yes.
Don't tell everyone that's what you do. But there are also methodologies where you can hand off certain things because money lives in our inbox. Mm-hmm. And email is one of those things that seems to, I mean, I don't know. Ask anyone walking down the street, are you overwhelmed by your email?
It's always a yes.
Right? So one of the things is figuring out on a personal level, what do I need to do? Mm-hmm. How do I distribute that money? Because there's invoices or there's clients asking questions, or so there's figuring out how to do it on a personal level so that the business is sustainable, so that you have a process for doing it. But then there's this whole other side that a lot of people don't think about. So imagine you're a business and you have 60 staff and the business has scaled and grown, and the question is, what is the process you all follow for processing your emails?
Okay.
And a lot of people don't like to talk about someone who is a key player getting hit by a bus, but that's why you have key person insurance. So I'm not bringing up something that is unrealistic. Insurance companies insure people for this.
Yep.
So think about it from your inbox perspective. You know, is there a methodology in which the company can create this agreed upon process for how we label folders? Are they client folders? How quickly do we respond? People's inboxes in a business environment should not be a personal place. Anyone should be able to go into your inbox if you take ill, if you're on vacation, and have the confidence that you're all responding in the same manner. Mm-hmm. I have seen so many people who have had their client lists taken. That's a technical protection issue as well, but so much information lives in email. Mm-hmm. And it's so incredibly important, and it's so monetarily tethered to how the business succeeds. So I could go on about this for a while, but the idea is the personal organization. How do we function in our day-to-day so that we have a well-rounded life? Email is crippling people. And it is the hardest thing to watch. And there is no quick answer.
Yep.
But we need to come up with solutions because honestly, we don't open our business. We don't do what we do every day so that we feel crippled by our email. And the smaller business owners struggle to go home and say to their partners or loved ones, you know, business is going okay, but I'm just like drowning in email. We can't share that with people who love us because they fear for us. But how does an inbox cripple a business?
Where does delegation play a role in this?
It's critical. So you have to think about it though. On the large side of business, people have teams.
Sure.
On the smaller side of business, they don't have teams.
One-man show.
Everybody says to me, yep, I'm going to hire an assistant. And I say, great, create your processes first. That's your first step. There's no quick fix. Some assistants, virtual assistants, people who will come into the office, whatever that is, are organized and efficient. Some are just ridiculously agile and efficient.
Yep.
What do you want for your business? There's not enough thinking and conversation around what is the business plan. And here's the funny thing, because everyone says, oh, you know, I'm doing this business course. I got a business coach. I'm doing this. I'm planning, creating the 5-year, 3-year, 2-year plan.
Yeah.
How can we honestly create these 5, 3, 2-year plans when every day we wake up and feel like there are not enough hours in a day? Like that gives me chills when I say that.
And it confuses me as well. I mean, so many people I come across, they're like, you know, I've made my 5-year plan. This is what my business coach and I, who I pay $15,000 to.
Yeah.
For what? Like, how is somebody else going to tell you how to run your business?
Yeah.
Before you know how to run it yourself. Like, if you don't have a value proposition in place and you're running the business, you're running the day-to-day, but you're clearly living a very unfulfilling life, you're overwhelmed with everything. Email is one thing, but there's so many other things, like especially if you're a small business owner or you're a mom and pop store owner. Like there are so many moving parts, especially with social media. Now you have to be a content creator.
Yep.
Like this is such an important point to raise because to your point, we don't know what tomorrow is going to look like, let alone the next 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really nice to say, hey, here's where I'm going. Here's what I'm planning. This is what I'm, it's nice for that conversation. But what's the stuff that makes me excited is that there's a happiness quotient to getting up every day, that a team feels empowered, heard, like they're contributors. Like everything we do every day has importance and it has meaning. And I feel that when a team of people say, yep, they're not going to change. Yep, nothing changes around here. Yeah, it's the same all the time.
So often.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Yep.
I would prefer to be known for trying to change, right? Like listening to people. It's difficult. And that's, I used to say, what I do is I lift the weight of what isn't working. But I can bring stuff to the table like books do, like CRMs do, like technology does, but it's not a quick fix. Everyone wants to create an automation or a workflow or use AI. And I love this. Recently, I moved and I had to call one of the big tech companies for my internet. And I got so frustrated at the bot because I thought, who trained this bot?
Yeah.
No one, I'm confident no one went through a Q&A with the bot saying, if you were a human moving and needed to move your internet, what would be the most common questions you would ask? They weren't there. And I kept doing it, well, because I had to, but also I found it incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
But 2 hours later, I'm amused at the lack of efficiency that this great use of technology has caused a customer.
You might lose a customer.
Yeah. So if you think an SME, sure, let them work in that competitive world. But if you're anyone in the middle of 300,000 to, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 10 million, you can't do that.
Yeah. You can't risk it.
You cannot risk it because someone else out there is going to have a better bot and make themselves look better, and they're still not going to be the solution.
Yep.
The solutions aren't always simple
Or easy.
or easy. But man, oh man, if you can spend 6 hours on what is the process that happens after someone clicks on that link on my website and we receive that email, if you can work 6 hours on what is my first response, how do I help educate them so they understand the value we could bring them? If they click on this link, what could I share with them that gives them value in their day, in their life? If you spend 6 hours on that, the return on investment is phenomenal. But somehow, people would prefer to work in their email all day long opposed to working 6 hours one day on going through that process with someone who knows how to walk you through that process. And then what do? You document it. And it's done. So those are the painful, hard things that there is not a quick fix for. There's not a template. I cannot make an editable PDF where you can answer questions that will be the perfect workflow that you would go implement.
Yeah.
You can't. There's too many questions. There's too many variables. We don't know what we don't know. It's like when I talk to my financial advisor. He asks me questions and I think, what?
I hire you for, I pay you for a reason.
Yeah. Right? So he's asking me good questions and I'm stuttering over my answers. I don't know. I have to go do research. I have to think about it. And then he walks me through, what should I be thinking about?
That's important. While you're telling me the story of the AI bot, there's a story of Jeff Bezos. He's in a conference room with all of his executives, and the person who leads the AI bots and the communication with customers, Jeff Bezos asks him, what's the lead time when somebody calls Amazon? He says it's 2 minutes. Jeff Bezos picks the phone up, dials a number, it's 30 minutes. He looks at him in the face. You said it was 2 minutes. The problem is that people are so stuck up on their old ways and they make these assumptions that, yes, this works and this is perfect and there's no need for us to innovate or change things.
Yeah.
That it actually ends up in the long run becoming more detrimental to the business. And I see this a lot, like back home in Pakistan. Lots of massive companies like industrialists and organizations that have factories in paint, textile, cement, sugar. So many moving parts, tens of thousands of employees. And they have certain employees who have been around for 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Who are doing an okay job. Like they're getting by. But when somebody young comes into the business and says, listen, you need to optimize X, Y, and Z. You need to add an automation. You need to improve your systems.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you tell me what to do? You think you can teach me something? I've been doing this for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the market's moved.
Yeah.
The world's different. So this is like organize, optimize, I'm going to incorporate this into my own life. I've been waiting for this book. But let's take a step back. Now,
Okay.
let's say a business owner is watching, and let's actually start with a small business owner. So either it's a plumber, it's somebody who's, he offers some sort of a service.
Yeah.
Or it's somebody who runs a mom and pop store. So
Okay.
either an individual or somebody with a very small team. How does he organize, optimize, and profit? Hey guys, I'm going to make this really quick. I hate long breaks just as much as you do. So I just want to say I am new to this whole podcast thing. I know I'm not perfect. I know there's lots of room for improvement. But I want to make a promise to you that number one, I am going to try my level best to get the best guests on this show. I'm not going to get you the same guests that all these other hosts are getting. I'm going to get you people with unique stories, people who we can actually relate to, and people who have lived larger than life stories. And number two, I'm going to try my level best to always give you the highest level of quality as far as production, audio quality, and even the highest quality of me. I'm going to try to be the best host for you. In return, there's only two things I need from you. Number one, I need you to subscribe. The only way my team and I know we're going in the right direction is if you guys subscribe, like, or leave comments. So it's going to be super helpful for us to know if we're doing the right thing. Second thing, I need constructive feedback. If you think I'm doing a horrible job, don't just tell me I'm doing a horrible job. Tell me exactly what I need to improve on in the comments, or even Instagram DM me. Or if you think I'm doing a really good job, then don't just tell me I'm doing a really good job. Break down what you think I'm doing good and what you think I need to improve on. Guys, I really appreciate you guys actually coming to the midpoint of this podcast. I'm so grateful, and I really, really hope you enjoy this one and all the future podcasts that are going to come. Thank you so much.
Okay. First, I'd say let's get the financial house in order.
Okay.
So when and this is me going against what I normally do. So I'm going to tell you what I would normally do. So we do an insight session. And an insight session is where we walk through key areas of business functionality. And I ask business owners to benchmark themselves in each area. And these are common areas in business that run between sort of 7 and 11 areas, depending on the size. The reason why I do this is, who am I to tell a business what they should be doing?
Okay.
I am no one.
Sure.
Right? So what that does is a few things. It gives them an opportunity to talk about their business from a 360 for probably the first time in a really, really long time.
Okay. So it's an audit.
It's sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have always called it an insight session because it gives me insights into them, their business, the functionality, what they feel their challenges are, everything. So basically at the end of it, what we end up with is a really clear, quick picture of where are they doing well. Golden nuggets always come up, always. So I get to hand those back to them. And then it clearly identifies the gaps.
Okay.
So the gaps are where we would generally start working, right? So, hey, if I'm going to work with you, this is what I would recommend we do. This is kind of the timeline I'm thinking. But finances, having the finances in order, if someone asked me the question you just asked me, that's key. You know, are you paying your bills? Are people paying you? And what's your cash flow? So I don't go in and tell them how to do their bookkeeping. I don't go in and tell them how they should be doing their taxes. But from a financial department perspective, whether that is the one person doing their quarterly receipt organizing and billing, whatever that is, it's what is the process around it? Are there problems? What are the problems? So in one situation for a mid-sized company, by simply changing how they tell their clients they're going to bill and then billing consistently based on that process, it changed their cash flow.
Wow.
So it's not always a big shift. And maybe you're not billing because you don't have time, or maybe you're not billing because you really like them and you know they have financial challenges. Well, you have to figure out, how do you work around that?
Yep.
Right? Lots of people will be willing to pay a smaller amount more frequently, but the business owner won't invoice that way because it's too difficult for them. So what's the solution to that? Well, that's probably your accounting software.
So step one is finances. And this is
Yeah.
actually very important.
It's cash flow.
It,
Yeah.
like a lot of people, like they completely disregard cash flow. They're just focused on top line. Okay, I'm gonna make $5,000 off
Yep.
of this client, and it's gonna be a great month. But they
Yep.
have no idea what next month's going to look like. And a lot of people also write off bad debt like it's nothing. So they find out, okay, this let's just say for this example, this old woman has financial problems. She's retired, and she has too many bills to pay. We're not going to charge her anymore. That's fine. You can be a good human being.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with every single one of your clients, because just as they're facing problems, you're also going to eventually face problems if you start becoming into, you know, a service provider that's giving everything out for free.
Yeah.
It's a good point, actually. If you know somebody is going through financial trouble, instead of charging them all of whatever they owe you up front, just minimize the payments, break them down, and take it over 6 months, 12 months, instead of writing it off as bad debt.
Absolutely. Like you said, we're human.
Mm-hmm.
We can do what we want, especially the smaller business owners.
Yep.
You know, and interesting, it goes back to, is this person a qualified lead for your business? So that's where it sort of ticks all the way back up to when someone clicks on that form on your website and you're educating them and sharing value and what value you bring to them and helping them understand if they're a good fit for you and your business. If finances are a concern, depending on the service you offer, if you're a plumber, someone's going to figure out how to pay you.
Yeah.
If it's $300 or $600 or $15,000,
Yeah.
if they need plumbing, they need plumbing.
Or you need to fix your car. I mean, it's just,
Right?
That's a very good point.
So people will find the money. People always find money. It's an interesting thing. But you have to ask yourself, depending on the type of service you're offering, are they a good lead for you? And there's this sort of tipping point where we want clients so badly, we're willing to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know, we learn from our mistakes. You can really celebrate a failure,
Yeah.
you know, and go, okay, good learning lesson.
Yep.
But we can also be kind-hearted.
And I think that's another thing that a lot of people also get wrong about entrepreneurship. It's like, because of the movies we watch and the kind of content we consume, we have to be cutthroat, and you know, we can't let anybody else win, and it's you versus you. It's all, I mean, sure, it's important. You need to have resilience, you need to be persistent, you need to be strong. That's entrepreneurship for you, but you can still be kind.
Yeah.
You can still have compassion. If somebody's going through a tough time, you can help them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's what makes a small business a good small business.
Right.
Because you've been in enterprise. Enterprise has a set of rules. You follow the rules. That's it. If somebody doesn't pay, you keep at it until they pay, or you send debt collectors to get that money out. That's how enterprise works. But if you're running a small business in your local town, you have to be compassionate. So number one is the finance. What's number two?
Your processes.
Okay.
You have to know your processes from start to finish. You have to. And so if you're an individual owner, let's say you are that plumber, a service provider. Everyone needs software. That's all I can say right now. Everyone needs a CRM.
Okay.
That's it. And you know, Outlook and Gmail are not a CRM, period. And I won't even name a CRM, but there's, you know, 5 that are amazing.
And very inexpensive.
And you know what? At some point, it doesn't even matter what the expense is.
The ROI is.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So depending on what you do, what type of service you offer, or, you know, look at, so if you are a service provider, a plumber, a hairdresser, a traveling pet groomer, get that software that allows people to book with you. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Like the one thing is, when I was teaching the business courses at the college, I used to say to the students, if the phone rings, if someone clicks on your website, that's $100. Just imagine $100. You know what it costs the business owner to get someone to do that? Thousands of dollars.
Yeah, the client acquisition cost, and people don't even know what their client acquisition cost is in most cases.
Well, where would they learn it? Here's the other thing. Where do you learn this so that you understand it in day-to-day business? There's so much of the work I do behind the scenes that we're just not taught. It's not a course.
Yep.
Because so much of it comes from different learning paths.
Sure.
And that's that cow path. So for the service providers, make it easy for people to book with you.
Okay.
But also protect yourself. So if they're booking, you have to make sure that your process is asking the right questions, getting them to
Qualifying
sign the
them,
right
basically.
deals. Yeah, like the right contracts, letting them know what the time frame that you'll show up in, how you expect payment, all of those things.
Yep.
So being as accessible and as easy to reach as possible, but also protecting yourself as a business. So there's two sides of it. If I want to book online with someone for an immediate service, and I've done the plumber on a Sunday at 11 o'clock at night because it's the pipe has been clogged and I need it. I just need it. It's the whole house. And there's nothing more pleasant than when I can book something online immediately, feel satisfied, and go, excellent. They're going to ask for my credit card. Oh, they want it right now. They're going to be here within this time frame. It's accountability. It's professional. And it allows you to grow as a business.
Yep. And this actually can make or break a business.
Huge.
Like there's this thing, blue ocean versus red ocean. So in the blue ocean, you've got somebody who's trying to innovate, trying to do something different. Red ocean, it's just everybody competing against each other. And when I first heard about blue ocean versus red, or read about it, the first question in my head was, how do all of these plumbers servicing the same city have this, how are they all in business? There aren't that many people here, right? Let's think of a small town of 10,000 people. There are 5 to 7 different plumbers. How many people really have plumbing issues? But it's actually such an easy concept to understand. One of them's probably doing something the other isn't, and the other is probably doing something the other isn't. So it's complementary. But when you're building a business, the one thing that I feel like, and I've done this myself, so I know firsthand, is we take things for granted. So like you said, the $100 per phone call that you miss.
Yeah.
I'll get leads come in. They won't look like very promising leads. And I'll be like, you know what, forget them, right? I want to sell big ticket. I want to make a lot of money. But the reality is that you can make a lot of money off of a smaller client as long as you qualify them the right way.
Yeah.
Because on the flip side, you can also get really bad clients. So we recently introduced lower ticket. So we do higher ticket, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 service offerings. But I introduced a $2,000 to $5,000 offering. And we started bringing clients in much higher volume. And on the surface, wow, so many new clients. But the clients that are paying $2,000 versus the clients paying $20,000 are always focused on the day-to-day, how things are done. They're always asking for more. They want to get on calls much more often because they're focused on how it's done. Versus the client paying you $20,000 is focused on the outcome. They've paid the expert to just give them the final product that they desire. So what you're basically saying is, small business owner, the plumber is a really good example. Number one, he looks at his financials. He looks at how to optimize the financials. Obviously, he figures out cash flow, which is king. Obviously, that goes without being said. Number two is looking at the processes, looking at the system. How do I systemize everything that goes on? So it's my funnel, number one, how does somebody book me? How does somebody pay me?
Yeah.
How does somebody reach out to me? And again, this is much easier said than done. I understand that there's so many different options there's so many different softwares you can use, but I will push back on the fact that I don't think it's hard either. I think it's just do a bit of research. We're in an age of abundance. Like go
Absolutely.
on YouTube, Google 2-3 things and you'll find the best option for you. What's number 3?
Leads.
Leads.
You need that for everything else.
So that sets the foundation.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to figure out how are you actually reaching out? How are you building your business? How are you building your reputation? It's the most interesting thing because when I speak to people, everyone wants more money.
Of course.
But as a business owner, where does that come from? It comes from clients.
Sure.
So when you think about what are you doing in your community, you know, there's always this thing about like start with the core, right? Do your family know what you do? Does your community know what you do? How is that information expanding? Because everyone talks about, oh, we're going to create a brand, we're going to do this, we'll do that. And my whole thing is, okay, great. So where are you networking? Because basically we need to clearly understand if you speak to 10 people and you get 2 clients, that's how many people you need to meet each, day, week, month,
It
what
makes
is
it predictable, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's understanding where do you go to build your business or how do you build your business? You know, and I could go back to this so often. In the curriculum for the students in business, we talked about cross-promoting. And there's a lot of things I find now that aren't spoken about so readily. So cross-promoting, if you think about the business that you're in, cross-promoting is going to someone who's the exact opposite and saying, hey, I'd be willing to offer this to your clients, right? Yep. So if you're a hairdresser, you're going to go to a florist. If you're a plumber, maybe you go to the coffee shop. Maybe you just walk up and down one of the main streets and say, hey, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I do. You know, here's my cart.
Event planner with photographer, like it's just
Absolutely.
Complementary services.
Yeah. So there's cross-promoting so that you just get to know people in your community so that they know who you are and what you do. But it's also helping people figure out how to buy in. Right? So if you think about it, one of the hardest things to do is have a business on a second floor.
Okay.
Because if people don't know exactly who you are, what you do, and what you sell, you're going to ask them to open a door and walk up a flight of stairs. Do you know how hard that is?
Impossible.
Right?
Yep.
Let alone everyone who's street front. So brand is important, absolutely. And I don't help people build their brand, but there's a process for how you build your business.
Yep.
Right? So there's a way in which you're hitting the mark on the day, the week, the month. Networking is really important. It's really, really exceptionally important for small business because you get to try out. How do you say what you do every week? You get to meet people who start to understand who you are and what you do. And why do people buy from us? Because they know us, they like us, they trust us. People refer me and have not experienced the work I do, but they hear me not shut up about it. You know? So they're referring me simply because it's like, hey, you should talk to her.
That's exactly what happens with me. It's just a matter of providing value, right? Just being valuable.
Yeah. I'm willing to have a conversation with anyone. So it's, you know, you need money coming in.
Of course.
How are you going to work on the finances and how you do what you do and what is actually going to pay for your CRM and your booking system so you can do what you do? You have to bring business in. It's critical.
One of the first networking events I went to ever in my life, this was in Toronto.
Okay.
Many years ago. They put us in groups, put us in pairs, and they told us, introduce yourself to each other. I could not introduce myself. And I could not explain what I did. And going to those events actually made me understand what I was putting out as value. So it helped me refine my elevator pitch, my value proposition. So networking events, I feel like people look at networking events and just look at the outcome. Yeah, we're going to make a bunch of business and we're going to gain a bunch of clients. But the actual benefit of networking events is refining your value proposition and getting a better understanding of what you do. Because I actually came across this guy, his name is Yasser. I met him at a networking event, again, same networking event, and he was a speaking coach. I had no idea who he was. I'll tell you what happened later on, but I meet him and the first thing he says to me is, Umer, I don't understand what you do. I said, what do you mean? He's like, you've given me like 4 sentences worth of what you do and
Yeah.
how you can help me and, why you're the best at what you do. But he said, I still don't get it. And he said, bring it down.
Yeah.
1 sentence. Make it as clear as possible. Right? Because most people will not understand what you do except for the person who's your ideal client. So
Yeah.
just target that person. Don't have a broad value proposition. A lot of people make this mistake. It's actually a matter of niching down once, niching down a second time, and I think niche down a third time, because if you're focused on one specific problem that you want to solve, be the best at solving that problem.
Yeah.
So at this networking event, I meet Yasser. He gives me this advice. I go home. I look up Yasser. The guy has millions of followers, YouTube. Like, he's the biggest speaking coach in the world. His company is called Speak Like a CEO. He doesn't even respond to me. Like, I'm still giving him a plug over here, because like he changed the way like I look at networking and introducing myself. So I couldn't agree more with you. Like, networking is such a crucial part of any business owner, not just the plumber or the small business owner, but regardless of where you are in your journey, meet other people, because they'll tell you more, not about them, but about yourself.
Totally. Funny, a guy like that at a networking event.
Yeah.
Right? That many followers,
Another thing, exactly. He was probably worth millions of dollars at that time.
Right.
I mean, I know for a fact he is now. He travels the world. And actually, I remember he told me his output was 16 videos a day. When I heard that, I was like, dude, no way.
Wow.
16 videos a day.
Impressive.
He just makes four variations of each of them.
Yeah.
That's 16. I said, wow, per platform, 4 platforms.
Yeah.
How many? That's 64 videos a day. I was like
Talk about a process.
I'm competing against these guys, right?
Yeah.
What am I like? How am I going to be successful? But what he taught me was, and what you just pointed out, like, it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, the guy was worth millions. He was still at a networking event. We paid $20 for it.
Yep.
Why? The question is why. He was refining his value prop while he told me to refine mine.
Yeah. It gives us an opportunity to expand our community. It gives us an opportunity to practice, like you're saying, to actually network with other individuals who could be a referral for you. Someone actually said to me the other day, I don't go to the networking group anymore because no one will buy my services there. And it's a bit heartbreaking, but what I recognized is what I was hearing 25 years ago, I still hear it today. Because it's not that we don't know what we don't know until someone is going to teach you, remind you, help you go to the next level. You only know what you know. Networking is not just to close business. I have met some of the most spectacular people who I have hired at networking events. They haven't hired me. I've hired them because I value what they do.
There's so much value. So you talk about profit, and we touched on this a couple of minutes ago, but specifically in the book, you say profitability beyond just money. And we spoke about profitability as far as getting your time back, which is something people do not understand until it's too late. I'm understanding that now as I grow my business, and I understand how important my time is. But then what other aspects of profitability should people be focused on? As we're talking about the plumber, we've finalized financials, systems, finding business leads, networking events, community outings, meeting different people, cross-promoting. Is it cross-promoting? I think that's great. That's actually a very good example. But what should he focus on as far as profitability is concerned?
I don't even know if I'm going to answer this question correctly or not, but it's incredibly important to be thinking about, I just want to default to talk about like your return on investment, like what's really important to you for the business. If you want to stay that individual business owner, that's great. What sort of revenues do you need, but profitable revenues?
Yep.
Like it'd be really cool to say, I hit 1.2, yeah, we hit 7 mil, these numbers sound great,
Yeah.
but it always makes me think of when we used to drive through a really specific neighborhood and my daughter played soccer and she'd be like, oh, that's the house, our team went to after the game last week and we swam in the pool and they got a Maserati. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what their bank accounts are like. I wonder if they have loans or if everything's cash and paid off. And my poor kid's sitting in the back seat, just shaking her head. So it's that revenue to understand clearly what are your profit margins? Like, where are you making money and where aren't you making money? In retail, people talk about the loss leaders. You don't have to do anything, but it would be really fun for a business owner to just have that clear understanding as to if this opportunity comes up, I can make a decision that is a well thought out strategic decision that's good for the business. But here's the interesting part, because when we start to tie this back to organize, optimize, and profit, and you think about how a business functions, the work that we're doing is creating those playbooks, those like standard operating procedures, documentation, call it whatever you want. It's the tool that will sustain a business for growth, for scalability, for expandability. When people are thinking about where they want to go next, if you have a system and that system is supporting the business and sustaining it, you can make decisions. If it's not, maybe it's not time to start looking at scaling and doing new things or bringing on new inventory or, opening a new operational arm of the business, but it's to strengthen that core structure so that everything is profitable. Like, I can't help but always want to go back to money, but to be able to make money when they click on that link, how does it happen?
Yeah.
So it's creating an investment into the process so that it creates a freedom so that you can do what you want.
That's key. Figuring out what you need to do as far as the work you put into your business to make more time for the things you love to do. So just spending more time with your family, with your spouse, playing more sports, for example. Like, I feel like
Or
most
a
people
sport.
don't get this.
Or hiring a trainer, or actually going to the gym 3 days a week. It's really hard those days, weeks that I feel overwhelmed where I don't make it to the gym. Because I wake up and I want to go, but why is it I wake up at 5, but by 5:15 I'm thinking I should be doing something else opposed to doing this, which actually empowers me from the inside out. It clears my brain. It helps me think. It gives me clarity. It gives me physical strength. But then I want to default to, but I would just really prefer to sit down and work on this.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be a clear understanding of what the trade-off is and how long will I trade off.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because at some point, I've grown up watching a lot of business owners work 9 to 9 and every weekend. And I've also been around the younger people who come into the business, like the guy you mentioned earlier, where they come in and they have all these bright ideas on how they should change and how they can do things better or more efficiently. And I'll say one thing, if the two sides could communicate and collaborate, the outcome would be more powerful than one younger person coming in and saying, you should automate. Because what I'd like to say is, okay, so when you understand the business, or sure, you think we should automate, create a plan. Document it out for me.
Yep.
Let's automate. But it's not a one thing, one person, one great idea solution. Do you know what I mean? It's integrated so that it becomes like this whole thing that fits together.
So you've worked with dozens of business owners over the years?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
what's the biggest challenge you see them face? We've spoken about lots of different things, but what's the one biggest challenge they face?
People.
I have the same problem, so I actually knew the answer to that.
Yeah, it's people. But here's the thing. If you have processes and you have metrics and you have frameworks, and they do this in corporate, right? You have your job description and then
They know exactly what they're hiring for, but small business owners don't. Like for me, I have a huge problem with this.
Yeah. So when you have a process, what that does is it allows you to evaluate someone not on them and how you emotionally feel about them, but based on the results.
The deliverables.
Right? So when you think about the benchmarking we do in the insight session, it's, hey, how do you feel about how this functions on a scale of 1 to 5? These are your metrics. This is how they do curriculum in schools. Same sort of idea. And instead of me telling you how you're doing, you tell me how you're doing. Like that performance review should be twisted. Just 180. Given to them, they come to the table and say, here's how I think I'm doing in each of the key areas that I'm supposed to be producing. But we overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
And it's easy to because we're humans, right? And we really, really enjoy, Bobby Joe. And, the other person is a little persnickety and a little, possibly prickly. That could be a personality thing, but it could also be because they're in the right seat on the bus. We want strategic thinkers. We want logical primary thinkers. They're the ones who put us on the moon in the first place.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a bunch of accountants sitting around the table and someone said, hey, I don't know. So what do you think, guys? Do you think we could go to the moon one day? Those people might not be
I don't think so.
the big logical primary thinkers that we need to have put us there.
Yep.
So when you have a process and when you have clear metrics and you're actually measuring people on their output and people confidently are in the right seats and doing a job that's aligned with their personality and possibly their passion, it's incredible what the results are.
Yeah.
But we give vague ideas. And, then you end up with personalities like mine where, sure, I want to do this and I want to do that. Call me an overachiever. Someone the other day called me an A-type personality. And I'm like, well, wow, it's almost offensive. But it's okay because I get what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I might fit better in a position that requires agility. But I would fail miserably in an accounting role where I had to do the same thing day in and day out. I have failed miserably at roles like that because I didn't understand. I didn't fit that.
Yeah, no, the output thing you were talking about. So judging the person on the output, Kevin O'Leary actually, I run a fully remote company. We have people in 5-6 different countries now, 10 plus cities. And my partner and I, the biggest challenge we faced when I started my company was people aren't doing the work, right? So because they're at home, life gets in the way, they have their families, they're not putting in the work. And we used to judge them based on the number of hours they were putting in. That was a metric we tracked. So they're not putting in 8 hours a day. They're only putting in 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I heard Kevin O'Leary talk about, because he runs a remote company as well, focus on the output, not on the number of hours they put in, but the actual output. And we switched it. So I told my team, you guys have full freedom. You can work in the morning, you can work at night. All I care about is if you've completed the job. If you've completed the job for the day, the week, and the month.
Yeah.
When I changed that, first few weeks tough. By the end of the month, everything changed. People started working together. They were complementing each other's strengths and weaknesses. And most importantly, the work was getting done. And so for example, in a work from home environment, you have certain people who are much more laid back. They literally be in their pajamas on their bed doing the work. And that's fine. That's me sometimes as well. Some people, their shirt on, their suit on. Sometimes they even put cologne on because they want to feel like they're in the office environment and they're putting in the work.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter who the person is or what type of person, like type 8, I hate this type 8, type B thing. I think you should just be your type me. As long as you're putting in the work and you're getting it done,
Yeah.
I think that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the key. You're clear about the work that needs to get done,
That's the first step.
Yeah.
Knowing what work needs to get done.
right? Because there are people who are going to come to the table at the 10th, 11th, 12th hour and go, okay, let's finish it up. Who grind, people who want to pace and, you know, check in. And so different personality types. But when you're clear and the team is cohesive and they have the freedom to figure out
That cohesiveness is really important. Yeah.
process empowers people. Over and over again. You had a process, you optimized it. In the optimized stage, you're looking at it, you're evaluating it, and at the profit stage, you're trim tabbing, figuring out how to make it work better, how to profit everybody. That doesn't sound like a great English structure sentence,
Yeah.
but it really is. But your give back, possibly for your own maybe sanity, you know, trying something different, trying to figure out how can we make this work. Your give back to them, all I can think of is these people are going, I work for the best guy. We have the best job. You know, they're bragging
Yeah.
on weekends.
Yeah.
They're bragging mid-afternoon going, no. Hey, as long as I get my job done, we're good.
Yeah.
I'm not babysat by my boss. No, we love working for him. Why? Because you're giving them their freedom.
Autonomy.
Yeah.
Independence.
And it's not a possibility everywhere, but it is a possibility for people to work towards that. It's like when service providers, plumbers, electricians take on young people and train them and show them their way of working. They're just showing them a way of working, a way of accomplishing what they've accomplished. It doesn't mean it's perfect or it's right or it's the only way. They're just training them in a methodology.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. You're like, hey, here's one methodology. Hey, actually, I'm not really satisfied with this. Let's pivot. But if you hadn't heard Kevin O'Leary, might that have triggered that whole thought process? Maybe it would have taken a little longer.
Yeah. It would have. But eventually, I think I would have ended up at that. Like, I don't think my business would have sustained because if I'm just judging people based on the hours they're showing up on their laptop or moving their mouses. And so the other thing is, I have a lot of friends, obviously, within the industry. So IT, development companies, tech companies, and they all hate the fact that I give my team so much independence. And it's like they fight, they argue with me about this. Like one of my closest friends, he owns a very similar BPO company, business process outsourcing. And his thing is like, Umer, you're crazy. Like they're not going to be putting in the work. No way they're putting in 8 hours. And that's where I stopped him. I said, why does it matter whether or not they're putting 8 hours?
Yeah.
What matters is at the end of the month, when I look at my reviews and their outcome is good, their output is good, we're hitting our numbers, what's most important, the clients are satisfied.
Yep.
Dude, I could not care less about the 8 hours they're putting in.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for the average business owner to understand. But I think once you get there, you have so much more satisfaction with your business because your team members are also satisfied with their workplace. Yeah. And when you hear that, when I hear my team members telling me, Umer, like we enjoy working with you, or you're like a brother to us, or like this is the best workplace I've been at, even if they leave, at least I've left a good mark on them. And for me, that's important because at the end of the day, I'm going to end up in my grave. And before that, I don't want to look back and regret and think, I was such a bad boss.
Yeah.
My team hated me. You know what I mean? Thankfully, they don't. And if they're watching this, I'm saying good things, but it's definitely the pivoting point for me was focusing on the output.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I heard a gentleman speak years ago, and he was talking about the average amount of hours in an 8-hour workday that people actually work. He said it was 4.
Yeah.
I've researched recently, and it's less than 4.
Yeah. I know that.
So if someone can get 3 solid hours of work out of someone,
Imagine. Wow.
and I can't help but say it, but it's going back to process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you know what you're supposed to be doing, from the psychological preparation perspective, we talk about shifting from one task to the next, and it takes 10 minutes to get back into that headspace. But when people are working in that focused thinking and knowing exactly what they need to be doing, the output naturally increases because of clarity.
Knowing the desired outcome beforehand.
Yes. So if you know exactly what you're supposed to do, so let's talk about sitting down to reconcile your banking. You know, business owners are looking at their financials, so they need to bill their clients. You're chunking your billing together. It's like time blocking. That's what it really is. But with the clarity of, okay, so I'm going to do all my ARs. Now I'm going to file all my receipts. Now I'm going to go to the next step. So when we have a clear understanding, I can't help but keep saying this, of the process, it enables you to go, at which step am I at? It also enables you to step away and know where you go back and pick back up from. So from a productivity perspective, your efficiency increases substantially because of the clarity. How many different ways will I squeeze in a process without calling it a process? But it's that thinking.
Yeah.
So it's going back to when people actually understand what they're supposed to be doing, when you're ridiculously clear about what their job is, what their role is. Then if they're in your office and they're there for 8 hours, at least they've done their work in half of the time, and maybe they will bring creative new thinking to the table for other things.
That's exactly it. One of my mentors, he made me take, I don't know what the name is, but it's some Gallup test. I don't know if you know what it's called. But I got my top 5. First was strategic. I had empathy and a bunch of things.
Okay.
And I never looked at myself as a strategic thinker. But this mentor of mine, his whole thing is working with business owners and trying to help them figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are and helping them delegate their weaknesses out to the rest of their team. And he did that with me. So my thing was, he looks at my report, says, Umer, number 1 is strategic. So he says, you think of every single situation, not from one angle, but from every angle possible.
Okay.
So for example, if I'm sitting on and speaking to you, I'm not just thinking about the conversation, I'm thinking about how to make the conversation better, but I'm also thinking about what I could do that may make the conversation go bad, right? So maybe I fart in the middle of it, you know what I mean? Like that's what a strategic thinker is. So for me, it was so insightful because it made me really truly understand who I was. And I'm tying this back into what you're saying, understanding what the desired outcome is. Because for me, if I know what my strengths are, I can lean into those strengths.
Yeah.
And I know what to pass on to my team. Because some of my team members, maybe like my weaknesses are graphic design. I'm not going to be editing this video. Trust me, I don't even know how to use an editing software. I'm not going to be doing my accounts. I'm going to let my team do that.
Yeah.
And I guess like it goes back to the cohesiveness part. It's having a good organization means having team members who, number 1, aren't just working independently, but are also working together in a cohesive manner that then gives the whole organization a good outcome. Not just a good outcome for the individuals, but a good outcome for the individual as a whole, as to the company as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
You know what's funny? As you were talking and you said delegate, all I could think of in my head was, I don't know if I answered his delegation question earlier. So if I didn't, just tell me and I'll try to. But so you have a team. think about it from you running this business as a solopreneur, entrepreneur. You're the only one in it. And these people are subcontractors. So a lot of business owners think they need to do everything because, you know, they're bootstrapping it or whatever word
Nobody
you're
can
going
do
to
the
use.
job like me. I've been through this. It's
Yeah,
very
or
common.
I don't know anyone who does that. I don't know who to hire.
yeah.
Or I hired someone and it went
They
really
do things
badly.
differently. That's another problem. Like people expect others to do the like you actually gave this example. Like you have a carpenter who will take a young guy on and he'll teach them how to do carpentry.
Yeah.
But when they sort of understand the fundamentals of carpentry and do their own thing, they do it differently.
Yeah.
So it's like business owners expect everybody around them to do things the way they want it to be done. But the fact is they should just be focused on, again, the outcome.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny because one of the things I heard recently is, you know, when I did that job, you know, because they started the company and now they have 15 people. When I did that job, I did it way faster than these guys. I mean, I love my team. This is obviously conversation behind closed doors. Love my team. They're really good. Like I have nothing bad to say about them, but I just don't know why it takes everyone longer to do it than when I did it. And I'm thinking, well, it might take longer, but there's more people involved and maybe the processes aren't as clear. Maybe as the one business owner that was taking the sale from, you know, the first phone call till the product got shipped off the dock, you were running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Maybe you think you did better than you actually did. Maybe, do you know what I mean? Like there's lots of different ways to think about it. And it's understanding that we, as leaders, like, I was in a coffee shop the other day and I remember reading an article, one of those funny articles where that thing sticks with you. And in the article, they talked about the person sitting across from them who wasn't nice to the service provider, the waitress. And that changed their entire view on whether they wanted to do business with this person. And it was funny because I was in the coffee shop and I was waiting in line and someone started to, a gentleman started to speak quite poorly to this woman. And I didn't say anything and finally I looked over and he said, excuse me, could you just not speak to her like that? And he said, this has nothing to do with you. I said, actually, it has everything to do with humanity.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I thought to myself, what are people thinking around me? And geez, maybe this isn't a really smart thing to do. But I needed to step up. And that's a difficult conversation. And I knew I was safe enough. You know, I'm in a public place. But this is leadership. Sometimes it's difficult and sometimes it's really uncomfortable. And I ended up helping him by Googling something on my phone to help him. It was a very odd situation and incredibly uncomfortable. But like you said to me earlier, we'll push you a little bit out of your comfort zone. That's what we need as leaders. And if we're going to open our own company, do you want to open it so you struggle or do you want to open it so that you can, I don't know, thrive? Like what kind of leader do you want to be in your own business? Right? Like, I trust me, I've got a big ego. It's really nice to say, yeah, I own my own business, but I also know what crumbles me at the end of a day or a week. Or like the client who called me the other day and said, we just lost a big client. That's hard.
It is.
And it's a lost client because of gaps in processes. How many times will I say this? But do you know what I mean?
I do.
And it's hard, but at the end of the day, we want to step up. We want to be leaders. We want to have difficult conversations. We want to thrive. We want to be happy. We want to employ other people. Lots of people do. And how brilliant that they want to thrive and be happy under our umbrella, right?
Yeah.
And what do you need to step out from I don't use this word a lot. I really don't. But what do you need to step out from the chaotic infrastructure that isn't supporting you or sustaining you? And if you think there's a quick fix, there's kind of not. But it can be super quick once you decide you want it.
Yeah.
Once you changed, what did you say? It went through a few days, maybe a week.
Lots of discomfort, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And it's just a lot of people will make the change and then they won't see the instant results and they'll regret making the change and they'll go back to their own ways.
Yeah.
And then even on like your point on leadership, for me, the mental framework that completely shifted my perspective on leadership,
Okay.
and this is like, it changed my life,
Okay.
is a leader is not the leader in the context of the team works for the leader. A leader works for the team.
Totally.
And when I heard this for the first time, it literally shifted my perspective, because this whole time, for 9 years I've been an entrepreneur, it's always been about, yeah, I'm the boss. Yeah, the team works for me. But the reality is, at the end of the day, I work for the team. My hard work, my work ethic, my principles, my values as a human being, not just forget business for like people, this whole work-life balance thing, that business will not tip into your life is going to be fully affected by how good or bad your business is doing. It's very hard to balance. But for me, it shifted because I know that I need to be the best version of myself so I can lead my team to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
So organize, optimize, profit. So insightful, Deanne. Thank you.
Thank you. So simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. Steve Jobs.